You ever notice how every workplace has this big, serious hierarchy? This whole ladder system. It's like a bad sitcom where nobody laughs, and only character development is who gets to move their chair a little closer to the window. They call it a climbing the ladder, but it's not a ladder. It's more like one of those rickety carnival rides where you're strapped in next to a stranger. The thing shakes, squeaks, and eventually dumps you right back where you started. But now your back hurts and your cotton candy's gone. And the people at the top of this ladder, they're the worst actors in the whole show. They really believe they're important. They think they're leading an empire. But what are they really leading? A group of people who hate them but nod politely when they walk by. That's not leadership. That's stage management. They're just walking around the office like bad sitcom dads, saying things like, let's give 110%. 110%? That's not even math. That's a boss who doesn't know what to say, but figures if he shouts a big number, people will clap. And have you ever noticed the way bosses talk? It's never direct. It's always vague, padded, slippery language. They'll say things like, we need to streamline operation. What does that mean? Nobody knows. It's a phrase that buys them 6 more months of pretending to do something. Or, we need to leverage our assets. Leverage what assets? The broken stapler and the 3 guys in IT who spend all day looking at fantasy football. There are no assets. There's just people moving paper from one pile to another, but the bosses sell it like it's a Manhattan Project. Middle management. Oh, that's the real comedy show. Middle management is like the supporting cast. They don't know if they're supposed to play heroes or villains, so they just end up being clowns. Their whole job is translating nonsense from the top into slightly different nonsense for the bottom. They're like bad interpreters at a wedding where nobody speaks the same language. The boss says, optimize resource allocation. The middle manager says, can you guys print less paper? That's the translation. And then they go back upstairs nodding like they've done something meaningful. And then there are the supervisors. Oh, the supervisors, the hall monitors of adult life. Their entire role is making sure you look busy, not actually be busy, just look busy. They don't care if you're accomplishing anything, as long as your fingers are moving on the keyboard when they walk by. They're like parents checking if you brushed your teeth. But they don't care if you still have cavities. They just want the illusion. They'll peek over your cubicle wall like prairie dogs, making sure you're typing. And if you stop for 10 seconds to think, suddenly it's, hey, is everything okay? You seem idle. Yeah, I'm idle. You know why? Because I'm waiting for the meaningless email you're about to send me. The whole hierarchy is designed to keep people in line. That's the real punchline. You've got all these layers, each one pretending to be more important than the one below it. But if you strip it all away, what do you really have? A bunch of adults arguing over fonts in a memo. People in ties debating whether the pie chart should be blue or green. This is what the hierarchy is protecting. The sacred PowerPoint slides. Wars have been fought in boardrooms over whether to use Arial or Times New Roman. And someone always says, let's sleep on it. Sleep on it? It's a font. Just pick one and move on. But no, they need a hierarchy for this. Because if you make a choice without running it through the ladder, you might accidentally accomplish something. And that would ruin the whole system. And you ever notice how every workplace has its own royalty? The executives, the VP, the people who sit in offices so big you could park a car in there. They've got mahogany desks, leather chairs, plants that are somehow still alive, and pictures of themselves shaking hands with other people nobody cares about. That's their whole personality. Here's me shaking hands. And when you finally meet them, you realize they don't actually know what the company does. You could ask the CEO, so what exactly do we make? And he'd say something like, we make value. Value? That's not a product. That's a slogan. You can't eat value, you can't wear value. But they've convinced themselves that they're innovators, visionaries, pioneers. Meanwhile, the actual work is being done by some guy named Carl in a basement who hasn't seen daylight in 3 weeks. The hierarchy even affects the little stuff, like parking spaces. Oh, you want to see the hierarchy in action? Look at the parking lot. The closer you are to the building, the more important you're supposed to be. Executives get the front row covered spots. Middle managers get the next row. Everyone else, park 3 zip codes away and take a shuttle bus. And they pretend it's about efficiency. We want the decision makers close to the building. No, you just want to feel special when you get out of your car. You want everyone else to see you strutting like a peacock while they're still walking through the rain. Even the bathrooms show the hierarchy. Executives always have private bathrooms. Oh yes, they can't share a toilet with the peasants. The peasants might overhear them humming. Meanwhile, everyone else is standing in line at 10 a.m., holding a coffee in one hand and a newspaper in the other, waiting for a stall like it's opening night at the theater. That's the hierarchy in action. One guy has marble sinks. The rest of you are praying for more air freshener. And the hierarchy creates these absurd rituals, you ever notice? Like presentations. Oh, those are beautiful. You've got the little guy at the bottom making all the slides, the charts, the graphs. Then it gets passed up to the manager who changes the title. Then to the director who changes the color. Then to the VP who deletes half of it. By the time it reaches the top, it's a blank slide that says a vision. And everyone claps. The poor guy who actually made it? He's sitting in the back wondering why he spent 3 days formatting a chart that got deleted. That's the hierarchy. You do the work, they do the clapping. And the bosses, they love their little perks. The corner office, the company car, the expense account. Oh, the expense account. That's how you know someone's higher than you. If they can charge lunch to the company, they've made it. Suddenly a turkey sandwich becomes a business meeting. And we discuss strategy over fries. Strategy? You talked about your golf game and then signed a receipt, but because it's on the company, it's sacred. And here's the thing. The hierarchy isn't even about efficiency. It's about theater. It's about making sure everyone knows their role. You're the worker, you nod and type. You're the supervisor, you check the typing. You're the manager, you check the supervisor checking the typing. And the executive. He doesn't check anything, he just signs his name and goes to lunch. That's the show. That's the script. And you'd better play your part, because if you forget your lines, they'll replace you with another extra before you even get your coat. The whole structure is like a bad sitcom with no laugh track. The boss is the unfunny lead character. The middle managers are the awkward sidekicks, and the workers are the background extras pretending to be busy in the coffee shop. The plot never changes, the jokes never land, and the show just keeps getting renewed for another season. Nobody knows why, but there it is. Another year, another rerun of the same tired script. And that's why the workplace hierarchy feels like such a comedy. Because it is one. It's a long-running joke, a badly written show where the actors don't even realize they're in it. Everyone's reciting their lines, bowing to the director, and waiting for applause that never comes. The whole thing is one big setup with no punchline. You ever notice how everybody talks about their job like it's the most important thing in the universe? People act like they're single-handedly holding civilization together with their little spreadsheets and staplers. Every office, every workplace, they sell you the same fairy tale. This is important work. Oh yeah? Then why does it feel like I'm sitting in detention for 8 hours a day? If this is so important, why does every clock in the building move slower than the one in prison movies? They tell you your job matters, that your company matters, that your team matters. But most jobs don't matter at all. Let's be honest, 90% of the people you meet are doing work that if it disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice. Nobody would wake up and say, oh no, where's Kevin's quarterly analysis of toner cartridge usage? No, the sun would still rise, the coffee would still taste bad, the traffic would still suck, and everyone would carry on with their lives. But in the office, everything has to be presented like it's a life or death mission. Every email is urgent. Every meeting is critical. Every little task is dressed up like it's going to be carved into stone tablets and handed down to future generations. We need this memo by noon. Oh yeah. Why? What happens if I don't send it? Is the stock market going to collapse? Will the oceans dry up? No, what will happen is it'll sit in someone's inbox until next week when they delete it without reading. The importance isn't real, it's theater. That's what work really is, it's theater. A big play where everybody dresses up in their little costumes, learns their lines, and performs the same boring scenes every day until they retire. And the script never changes. You've got the motivational manager character who thinks spouting buzzwords is the same as leadership. That's leadership. Yeah. You've got the loyal employee character who brags about never missing a day in 15 years, like that's an achievement and not just proof they've been trapped in the same hamster wheel for a decade and a half. You've got the too busy guy who walks around with papers in his hands looking stressed, even though if you followed him all day, you'd realize he didn't actually do anything but look stressed. And of course, the meetings are the rehearsals. Endless rehearsals. Endless rehearsals. You sit in a room, listen to someone drone on about objectives and his strategies, and everyone nods like they understand. Nobody understands. Half the people are thinking about lunch. The other half are hoping their boss doesn't ask them a question, and the guy with the slideshow thinks he's delivering the Gettysburg Address. It's a farce. If meetings were really important, something would actually happen in them, but nothing ever does. A meeting is where work goes to die. You walk in with an idea, you walk out with an action plan, and somewhere in the middle the idea gets strangled by bullet points. And the bosses love it. Oh, do they love it? They need the illusion of importance more than anyone. Without it, their whole existence falls apart. Because if you stripped away the illusion, you'd see what bosses really do, walk around and make up deadlines. That's their whole job. Inventing dates for things that don't matter. We need this by Thursday. Why not Friday? Why not never? Because if they don't make up deadlines, people might notice they're just another useless prop in this bad play. And the length. My God. The language of work is its own comedy show. Nobody talks like normal people. Everything has to be inflated. They don't say, let's talk later. No, it's a let's circle back. They don't say, let's start. No, it's a let's kick off. Kick off what? You're not playing football, you're opening an Excel file. And the all-time classic, and the outside the box. The box. You ever notice nobody can tell you where the box is? The box is imaginary, like Santa Claus for adults in ties. The only time you ever see the box is when someone's belongings are in it after they've been fired. Titles are part of the illusion, too. People don't say, I answer phones. No, they're client communications specialists. They don't say, I work the cash register. No, they're a point-of-sale associates. Everyone's got a fancy title that makes them sound like a Nobel Prize winner. I'm a senior global logistics coordinator. Translation, I order the pens. But they can't say that. Because if they said what they really do, everyone would realize their job is about as important as folding napkins at a picnic. And then there's busy work. The holy sacrament of the illusion. People filling out forms, making charts, sending emails, most of it completely unnecessary. You got folks who spend their entire day formatting documents, moving margins half an inch to the left, bolding the header, italicizing the subheader. Why? So when the boss walks by, it looks like something's happening. That's all it is. Camouflage. People aren't working, they're camouflaging. They're like soldiers in a jungle, only instead of hiding from the enemy, they're hiding from unemployment. Keep typing, keep clicking, keep looking engaged. Doesn't matter if the screen is blank. As long as your fingers are moving, you're safe. And the performance reviews, what a joke. Once a year, you sit in a little room while your boss tells you how you're doing. Like they know. They weren't watching you. They don't have a clue. But they've got a form with categories, teamwork, initiative, leadership. They ask you about your strengths. What are your strengths? My strength is pretending this conversation matters. Then they ask about your weaknesses. Weaknesses? Yeah, my weakness is answering dumb questions from middle managers. And at the end, no matter what you say, you get the same raise everyone else gets. 2%. Oh, what a thrill. 2%. Oops. That's enough to buy an extra sandwich each month. Thank you, thank you. I'll cherish it forever. Even the office buildings are part of the show. You ever walk into a corporate lobby? It's like entering a cathedral. Marble floors, giant columns, shiny reception desk. They want you to feel like you're stepping into something sacred. But you ride the elevator up and what's waiting for you? Beige walls, beige desks, beige people staring at glowing screens. The sacred temple turns into a morgue with coffee machine. The only divine experience is when someone brings in bagels. Then suddenly, it's a miracle. People who haven't smiled in 6 months are fighting over sesame seeds. Deadlines are another masterpiece of the illusion. This has to be done by Friday. Why Friday? Who decided Friday? Why not Monday? Why not next year? You know why? Because the boss needed to sound serious. Deadlines aren't real. They're imaginary whips to keep you running faster. You hand the thing in on Friday, and guess what? It sits on someone's desk until Wednesday. Or it gets lost in their email. Or they forget about it completely. The deadline was never real. It was just there to make you sweat. And here's the thing. Everyone knows it. Deep down, everyone knows their work isn't important. You can see it in their faces. That dead look at 3 p.m. when they're staring at the clock, willing the hands to move faster. That sigh when the email notification pops up with another urgent request. That little dance of relief on Friday afternoon. If work was really important, people wouldn't be counting down to escape it. People don't count down to leave something meaningful. They count down to leave jury duty. They count down to leave the dentist. They count down to leave work. But the illusion is strong. It has to be. Without it, the whole thing falls apart. If people actually admitted their jobs were pointless, they'd walk out and never come back. The illusion keeps them in the chair. Keeps them moving the mouse, typing the keys, filling out the forms. It convinces them that their reports, their memos, their charts are part of some grand design. But there's no grand design. There's just more memos, more reports, more charts. It's sandcastles in the desert. You build them all week, the wind blows them away, and on Monday you start again. And that's why work feels like a bad joke. Because when the setup is all this fake importance, all this theater, all this make-believe drama, and the punchline is just another stack of useless paperwork, you realize the joke isn't just bad, it's endless. So after all the meetings, all the memos, all the fake urgency, all the ass-kissing and box-checking, what's the big payoff at the end of the week? The paycheck. Oh, the paycheck. The great punchline to the world's longest setup. That's the carrot dangling in front of the mule, except the carrot's plastic and the mule's paying rent. They tell you the paycheck is your reward, your compensation as if it's a prize. You spend 40, 50, 60 hours giving your time, your energy, your sanity, and they hand you a little slip of paper. Or now just a number on a screen and act like they've knighted you. Congratulations. You've survived another week of nonsense. Here's enough money to not die until next Friday. That's not a reward. That's a drip fee. That's rationing. They don't give you the whole meal, they give you crumbs and tell you it's a feast. And have you noticed how the paycheck always seems smaller than the effort? You work all week, maybe pull some overtime, maybe skip lunch a few times, maybe stay late to finish that stupid report. Then payday comes and you look at the number. That's it? That's what I get? That's the value of all that? It's like trading a gold brick for a coupon. You start doing the math in your head. Okay, I sat through 17 meetings, replied to 112 emails, listened to the boss talk about synergy for 45 minutes. And all that equals what? A bag of groceries and a tank of gas? You know the paycheck is a joke when you're standing at the register praying your debit card doesn't embarrass you. And they love to break it down for you too. Gross pay. This is your net pay. Gross and net. You know what gross means. The number you never see. That's the fantasy paycheck, the one you'd get if nobody else touched it. And net, that's the sad little number that's left after everyone's had their turn. It's like Halloween candy. You collect the whole bag, then your parents, your older siblings, the neighbors, everybody takes a piece. By the time you sit down to enjoy it, you're left with 2 Tootsie Rolls and a stick of gum. And the deductions. Oh, they love their deductions. Taxes, insurance, retirement contributions, fees you didn't even know existed. Half the time you're reading the pay stub like it's a ransom note. Health plan premium, union dues, Social Security, Medicare. Who the hell is Fika and why is he taking my money? Every paycheck is a group project and you're the only one who did the work. Everyone else just showed up and took their share. And when you finally get the paycheck, what happens? It's gone before you can even fold it. Rent bills, groceries, gas, poof, it disappears like a magic trick. The only thing more impressive than how fast it disappears is how little you got to enjoy it. You don't spend your paycheck, you watch it evaporate. Payday feels less like a celebration and more like handing money back to people you don't like. Here you go, landlord. Here you go, utility company. Here you go, bank. Thank you all for letting me keep the lights on another month. And people still talk about the paycheck like it's freedom. They got paid, I can finally relax. Relax? You just exchanged a week of your life for the privilege of paying bills. That's not freedom, that's survival with a receipt. If the paycheck was really freedom, people wouldn't need vacations. People wouldn't need to fantasize about quitting. People wouldn't stare at the clock like prisoners waiting for parole. If the paycheck was really freedom, you wouldn't need another one 2 weeks later just to do it all over again. And then they throw in raises. Oh, that's rich. The big raise. You wait all year for it. The company tells you they've been reviewing your performance. They've been watching your dedication. They've noticed your extra effort. And after all that, after all the praise, they give you a raise of what? 50 cents an hour. 50 cents an hour. 50 cents. That's 8 gumballs. They act like they're giving you the keys to the city. We're proud of you. You've earned it. Earned what? The right to buy a small fry at McDonald's without checking your balance. That's not a raise. That's an insult wrapped in confetti. And if it's not a raise, it's a bonus. Whoa, you. The holiday bonus. Oh, they make a big show out of that one. The boss gathers everyone in the break room, gives a little speech about how we're all family here, and hands out envelopes like Santa Claus. And you open it, and what's inside? A gift card. A $50 gift card to the same grocery store you already shop at. Oh, how generous. Instead of paying you properly, they're giving you store credit. That's not a bonus, that's a coupon. And they expect you to clap for it. Smile, nod, thank them for their generosity, while secretly wondering if you can trade it for gas money. And you know what else? They pay you just enough to keep you coming back. That's the real trick. Not enough to live the life you want, but enough to make you afraid to leave. It's like they've done the math. What's the smallest amount we can pay this guy so he won't quit, but also won't actually enjoy his life? That's the paycheck. It's not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you in the chair. It's a leash made out of numbers, and people defend it. That's the crazy part. People will say, at least you're getting paid. Be grateful. Grateful? Grateful for what? Trading the best hours of your day for the worst hours of your night? Grateful for sitting in traffic eating lunch out of a plastic container and pretending to care about conference calls? If that's gratitude, then gratitude needs better public relations. Even the timing of the paycheck is a joke. You don't get paid right after you work, no. You wait. You wait a week, 2 weeks, sometimes a whole month. You do the work now and they pay you later. Imagine going to a restaurant and eating dinner and the waiter says, "Oh, we'll charge your card in 3 weeks." You'd think that's insane. But with work, it's normal. You give them the labor up front. They hold the money like a hostage and then release it in installments. They should call it layaway life. And every time payday comes, it feels like a temporary high. For one day, you feel a little rich. You get the deposit, you check your balance, you smile. Hey, look at that. I'm doing okay. And then you pay 3 bills, and suddenly you're back to wondering if you can afford extra cheese on a pizza. The paycheck is like a magic trick with really bad timing. The magician shows you the rabbit, then eats it in front of you. And here's the biggest punchline of all. The paycheck is supposed to be the whole point of work. That's the justification. We pay you, so you work. That's the deal. But when you really look at it, the paycheck is the weakest part of the deal. It doesn't cover the time you lost. It doesn't cover the stress you built up. It doesn't cover the mornings you hated, the meetings you endured, the dignity you swallowed. All that for a paycheck that barely covers the rent. That's not a reward. That's hush money. That's payment to keep you quiet about how stupid the whole system is. And everybody plays along, week after week, year after year, decade after decade. Work, paycheck, bills, repeat. Like a bad joke told over and over again where nobody laughs but everyone keeps listening. And the punchline never changes. The paycheck. The weakest, saddest punchline ever written. And that's why work feels like a bad joke. Because when the setup is your whole life and the punchline is just a number that disappears in 3 days, you realize the joke isn't on the paycheck. The joke is on you. You ever notice how every workplace has its own little culture, its own weird little rituals? You walk into one office, they're obsessed with morning meetings. Another place, they're obsessed with coffee breaks. Another one, everybody's in love with the mission statement. Mission statement. Mission statement. That's one of the great workplace fairy tales. We believe in excellence, innovation, and customer focus. Oh, really? You sell paper clips. Just say what you do. We sell crap to people who don't need it. That's the mission. But no, they gotta carve some nonsense on a plaque, hang it in the lobby, and pretend it means something. Workplace culture is like a cult, only without the robes and the Kool-Aid. Well, sometimes there are robes. Did you ever see Casual Friday? That's when the cult takes the robes off and puts on Hawaiian shirts. Suddenly everyone's free, liberated. Us, we're individuals. Except they all show up in the same kind of a funny polo shirt. It's conformity disguised as freedom, and they're proud of it. It's Casual Friday, I can finally wear jeans. Wow, what a victory for humanity. And he went on a hunger strike so you could wear khakis in a cubicle. And the break room. Every break room in America is the same. There's a fridge nobody cleans, a microwave covered in someone else's soup, and a coffee machine older than most of the employees. The coffee is always terrible. Doesn't matter where you work, it tastes like burnt cardboard filtered through an old sock. But people line up for it like it's liquid gold. Because in the workplace, bad coffee isn't just a drink, it's a sacrament. It's the holy water of the office. Have you had your coffee yet? No, I've been trying to stay alive without poisoning myself, thanks, but they don't care. They drink it, they worship it, they compare it. They talk about needing it. Nobody needs it. You just need an excuse to step away from your desk for 10 minutes without being accused of slacking. Coffee isn't a beverage, it's a time machine that makes the day go faster. Then you've got the rituals of meetings. Meetings are the office version of prayer. You all gather in a room, sit in rows, pretend to listen to the sermon, and then leave without anything actually changing. And just like prayer, most people are secretly thinking about lunch. Meetings are proof that workplace culture is more about appearance than substance. Nobody remembers what was said. The only thing they remember is who brought donuts. Bring donuts, you're a hero. Forget the donuts, you're the villain of the week. And the way people talk in these meetings, oh my God. Nobody uses regular words. They gotta use the sacred language of the workplace. They don't say, oh, we have a problem. No, it's, oh, we have a challenge. They don't say, oh, we screwed up. No, it's, oh, we had a learning experience. And they don't say, oh, we have no idea what we're doing. No, it's, we're in a period of transition. Transition. That's code for, oh, we're lost and confused, but let's act like we planned it. Workplace culture is obsessed with pretending. Pretending you're busy, pretending you're motivated, pretending you care. That's the real job, pretending. The actual work is secondary. What really matters is how good you look while pretending. You ever see someone typing furiously with a serious face, like they're solving the world's problems? You look closer, they're writing an email about ordering lunch, and they got the face. The face that says, don't bother me, I'm changing the course of history with this sandwich order. And then there's the dress code. Oh, the dress code, gotta look a professional. Professional just means uncomfortable. A tie doesn't make you smarter. Blazer doesn't make you more competent. It just means you've got a noose around your neck and you're sweating under fluorescent lights. And women, oh, they get it even worse. Gotta wear the right shoes, the right skirt, the right blouse. Too casual? Unprofessional. Too dressed up? Or trying too hard. It's a circus, a fashion show nobody wants to attend. But the crown jewel of workplace culture has to be team building. Oh, team building. That's when the company decides you don't hate each other enough during the week, so they put you in a ropes course on the weekend to bond. Because nothing says teamwork like dangling from a tree while your coworker tries not to drop you. Or they'll make you play trust falls, trust falls. The same people who throw you under the bus in meetings are suddenly supposed to catch you with their arms. Yeah, that's gonna work. Or they'll do those cheesy workshops with slogans like, together everyone achieves more. That's not a slogan, that's a bad acrostic. You don't achieve more, you just achieve a bigger headache. And let's not forget about birthdays in the office. You ever notice how depressing those are? Somebody buys a sheet cake from the grocery store. Everyone stands around awkwardly, sings half a song, and then shovels in frosting to escape the silence. The birthday person has to pretend they're grateful for a half-eaten cake and a card signed by people who don't even know their last name. Happy birthday, Steve. It's Dan. Nobody cares. It's a ritual. A meaningless ritual. Just another item on the workplace checklist of fake community. The language of email is another sacred ritual. Nobody just writes a message. Every email has to be a performance. You start with the hope this email finds you well. It never finds anyone well. It finds them angry at their inbox. Then you sprinkle in a bunch of phrases like "upper my last email," which really means a "can't you read, idiot?" Or just circling back, which means I'm still waiting and you're still useless. It's not communication, it's coded warfare. And the signatures. People put all their titles, their degrees, their phone numbers, their fax numbers. Fax, who the hell still faxes? But it's on the signature because it makes them feel important. A senior vice president of something nobody cares about. That's the culture. Inflate everything until it looks like a hot air balloon. And then hope nobody notices it's full of nothing. And the gossip. Oh, the gossip. Workplace gossip is its own religion. You don't even need priests. You've got Janice from accounting. She knows everything. Who's sleeping with who? Who's getting fired? Who cried in the bathroom last week? Gossip is the unofficial company newsletter. And people love it. Because in a place where everything feels fake, gossip feels like the only real thing. It's the one ritual where people actually sound alive. Then you've got the motivational poster. You know the ones. A picture of a mountain with the word of perseverance, or an eagle with the word excellence. Who are these for? Nobody's looking at a poster of a guy climbing a mountain and thinking, yeah, I'll finally finish those expense reports. No, they're thinking, that guy gets fresh air while I'm stuck here staring at a photocopier. Those posters don't motivate, they mock. They're the office equivalent of being laughed at by Mother Nature. And oh, the awards, the employee of the month. What a ritual. You get your picture on the wall, maybe a $10 gift card, and then everyone forgets about you. It's not recognition, it's a distraction. It's the company saying, look, we care about our employees. While the other employees look at the wall and think, why wasn't it me? It's not a celebration, it's a competition in a hamster cage. Holiday parties, now there's a special kind of torture. You cram a bunch of people who barely tolerate each other into a room. Give them cheap wine and expect magic. Everyone's pretending to be festive while secretly wondering how soon they can leave. The boss gives a speech about how we're all one big family, which is true if your family is dysfunctional, resentful, and only together because of money. Then someone gets drunk, someone else makes a bad joke, and by Monday, it's back to pretending none of it happened. That's workplace culture. Temporary amnesia followed by permanent awkwardness. And don't forget the annual performance evaluations, which are just rituals with paperwork. The boss pretends to care about your development. You pretend to care about feedback, and everyone fills in boxes. Exceeds expectation. Expectation. Whose expectation? Nobody knows. The only thing you can expect is a tiny raise and another year of the same nonsense. It's like Groundhog Day with less variety. Workplace culture even seeps into the way people brag. You ask someone how they're doing, they don't say, I'm fine. No, they say, busy. Busy. That's the badge of honor. Busy means important. Nobody's actually busy, they're just occupied with nonsense. If you're really busy, you don't have time to tell people you're busy. That's how you know it's a ritual. It's a signal. But look at me, I matter. I'm busy. Busy is the workplace version of I'm blessed. It's fake humility wrapped around a cry for attention. And all of this, the meetings, the emails, the birthdays, the posters, the gossip, it's all designed for one thing, to make the cage look nicer. That's what workplace culture is, it's the paint on the bars. They can't change the fact that you're trapped, but they can give you free bagels on Wednesday and call it a perk. They can't make the work meaningful, but they can give you casual Friday so you feel like you have freedom. They can't give you real community, but they can throw you a birthday cake and a sign card so you don't notice how hollow it all is. And that's why workplace culture feels like a comedy. Because it's people clapping for rituals they don't believe in, playing along with traditions that don't mean anything, pretending they're part of something bigger when really, they're just part of a sitcom that never gets canceled. That never gets canceled.